All right, so coming to a nice seat. And just like find any movement that you might need to. I always think it feels good to roll the shoulders and go forward and back. And then before we come to this quiet seat, just get still and get quiet. If you do have props and if you enjoy working with a block between your feet and a strap around your legs, you're welcome to set that up. There's no need to do that if you don't have props and don't want to do that as well. But if that's something that you enjoy and you want just that little sense of feedback, your legs, you're welcome to go there. And then also, as always, when we start out here, if it feels a little more comfortable for you to be resting back in your chair, you can do that. Try to keep shoulder heads pressing back, even if you're leaning back a little bit. Gentle, gentle tuck of your chin. Otherwise, if you want to find those sit bones, sit up nice and tall here, you're also welcome to do that. And then close your eyes if you haven't already. And then hands just resting someplace that feels comfortable. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And let the weekend go, let Monday go. I don't know about you all, but it felt like a Monday today when I got out of bed. It's improved immensely, but it was a rough start. That happens sometimes. So a few more times like that. Nice, smooth, steady inhales. And then opening your mouth, letting the breath go. And just notice how that triggers in you this idea that, oh yeah, okay, I'm on my mat, I'm doing my yoga practice. I'm going to start paying attention to my breath. I'm going to start paying attention to my body, to all of the little things that are happening today. I'm going to get curious. I'm going to get creative. I'm going to notice things and make little changes, little adjustments. I might even let some things go, and that might be physically. Maybe a certain pose just won't feel like it usually does today. That's okay, that happens. Maybe energetically there's something that you want to give up, offer up, let go of. Even if it's just for the next hour, just taking a break. You're gonna start to find that rhythm of your breath. So you're inhaling through your nose and you're exhaling through your nose. And you can keep it nice and simple like that. If you want to dip more into that Ujjayi breath, that victorious breath, there's a little constriction that happens in the back of your throat. And you start to get a little sound in the back of your throat on the inhale and the exhale. You don't need to overdo it, but it's definitely different than just breathing naturally. It's definitely audible to you. If there was somebody practicing next to you, they'd probably be able to hear your breath. The sound of this breath has this really nice calming quality. It gives us something to focus our attention on so we can start to quiet the mind. And of course, that can be really tricky. Some days it's easier than others. Some days we get really good at paying attention to that breath, listening to that breath. But then our brain is good, so we can do that, but then there's still thoughts happening behind. So just smile if that's the case for you. Check in with the breath again. And then as you're sitting here breathing quietly, I'm going to just start by reading you a poem today. And this is by the Colorado poet laureate, Bobby LaFebre. And I don't remember if I read this to you guys. It came out shortly after quarantine came out, and I thought it was really beautiful. And I was thinking about it today, and I was wondering, how would that strike me 6-7 months down the road? So you can just sit here, you're quietly breathing. And when there is nothing left to do but live, let us retire the noise and build a home inside the stillness. Grab a wrench and unfasten the parts of you that have become mechanical. Rest your weary limbs in the bed of anomaly. Outside, the machine is powering down. You can hear the birds when the gears aren't grinding. When there is nothing left to do but live, make a vacation of your body. Each part explored, a stamp on your passport. Begin with your heart, maybe. Crawl inside and sightsee. Ask difficult questions about who it is and why. Outside, the machine is powering down. You can hear yourself when the gears aren't grinding. When there is nothing left to do but live, simply show up. That has always been enough. And together in this sudden strangeness, radical imagination will run wild. Tomorrow being built today. So sitting here a couple more moments and just kind of letting that roll around with you. It actually reminds me a lot of yoga, this idea of checking in, getting quiet, noticing things, not taking things for granted. Accepting where we are. And I love this idea of just showing up. That's always been enough. We often think it isn't. So as we start to move and explore today, let that sort of be your North Star. And you're going to simply, quietly show up as you already have. Good. So blinking your eyes open here. Let's go ahead and get into the neck a little bit. So start to bring your chin towards your chest. And first thing, I always find this really hurts so good, but it's challenging. It's an intense stretch on the back of the neck, and the back of the neck really wants to grip. So as much as possible, let it release down. You're really trying to bring your chin towards your chest. It's that feeling that we get when we come into our cat stretch. You're keeping that breath nice and even. Oh, these all look really good. Nice work, Jim and Tammy. And then keeping that chin tucked, start to bring your right ear towards your right shoulder. Notice if that shoulder pops up. We want to keep them releasing down. And you're getting this intense stretch through the left side of your neck. You might heighten that by releasing your right hand down, left hand down, and kind of just letting the arms hang a little bit. As you go there, again, you're paying attention. So sometimes this can feel like too much. And if that's the case today, you can just take your hands back to where there's a greater sense of ease. And then we don't often do this, but let's go ahead and start to bring our gaze towards our right shoulder. And I'm finding that it kind of comes forward in the neck a little bit on that left side. And then I'm also getting it in the right part of the neck a little bit. And that may or may not be true in your body, but you're paying attention, you're noticing what's going on. Good. And then begin to tuck your chin, bring your gaze slightly forward, and then moving nice and slow. Start to bring your chin towards your chest again. Pause there, take a couple of breaths, maybe make any little adjustments. Feel that widening across your heart and chest, that openness. Maybe you're getting a little more release of your neck here. Back of the neck lengthening. And then start to make that journey to the left side. Might feel a lot different this side. So pause in any places that you need to. Notice if your left shoulder starts to creep up around your ear. It loves to do that. Just release it down. And then you might just be letting those arms get heavy by your side. So they're just kind of acting as a little counterweight. So you get to intensify the stretch through the right side of your neck. Good work. Make sure that you're breathing. Check in with the breath again. Fortunately, the breath is pretty automatic, but we want that nice, more controlled, that deeper breath in our yoga practice. And then if it felt okay, or if you just want to play with it and see what happens, maybe start to slowly turn. So your gaze is moving towards out over that left shoulder. Notice where this shifts the sensation in the neck area. And it might be feeling fairly intense. Good. And then just start to move back in the opposite direction. So kind of unwind that neck first. Just bring your gaze slightly forward. And then keeping chin tucked, come back to center. And then you are slowly gonna lift your head up. Good. And just take a breath or two here. Notice how you're feeling. Make any little adjustments that you need to with your seat. So you wanna energetically root into your feet, root into your sit bones. And then from that steadiness, that sturdiness, you can get this beautiful lift, and it might just be the tiniest amount through the sides of your waist. And let's start to do a little side to side lateral stretching. So we're going to lean off to the right first. So releasing right arm by your side. Inhale, left arm comes up and over. And starting out, it need not be a very big lean. Exhale, release. Inhale, right arm up and over. Good. Exhale, release down. Inhaling up. Good. Exhale, release. And then you continue like this. So you might be wanting to move at a slightly different pace than me today. You go with your breath. You're paying attention to what it is that you need and what feels good. These look wonderful. You're noticing the lateral stretch that you're getting as you're reaching top arm up and overhead. Maybe you're smiling a little bit. I don't know. I always feel so good once I start moving, and it doesn't take very much at all. And it's the simplest thing to do. Sometimes it's what we need, and we don't do it. Flowing like this just helps us to kind of shift how we're feeling physically, mentally. Let's do a couple more to each side and then come into a hold. You all look very lovely and graceful doing this. So the next time that left arm is reaching up and over, just hold there. And then start to spin the eye of the elbow to face back behind you. So you're wrapping outer arm in towards inner arm. You're getting internal rotation. maybe you start to bring your gaze slightly up. And again, you're being very mindful. Some days that doesn't feel good, so we don't need to do it every time. Even though we're doing a lot of the same poses, our bodies are always a little different every day. Good. As we exhale, we release. So our yoga practice looks a little different every time we arrive on our mat. And that's a good thing, to be open to that, to explore that. How does this side feel different? Are you letting those shoulder blades release down your back and melt in towards each other? Where are you getting some intense sensation? Can you send your exhale to any of those spots? Just imagining it's creating some space and ease. And then again, your choice. Maybe you play with looking up underneath that top arm. Definitely a neck strengthener and stretcher. Not always the right place to be. And then check in with your breath. Good. Deep inhale, fill up. As you exhale, you release down and just take a couple breaths here. Maybe close your eyes. So sometimes that just helps us to kind of tune the outside world out and get quiet and still and check in. How are you feeling different than when we started already? So it doesn't take much. And then let's start to move into a little cat-cow. You might like to keep your eyes closed. If you prefer to have them open, that's fine as well. So hands resting on your thighs or your knees. Then we just start to find this nice, gentle back bending and forward folding. So inhale, you rock to the front of your sit bones. Press your shoulder heads back. Little cobra pose in our upper body here, which feels nice. As you exhale, you go in the opposite direction. You roll to the backs of the sit bones. Let the back of the neck release. So we've already stretched that out a little bit. So hopefully that's feeling nice. Inhaling, arching. And then exhaling, rounding in. And you are paying so much attention to your spine. You're noticing what's going on, how things are feeling. You're also just soaking up this joyfulness that happens when we start to move with the breath here like this. So when we start to find this flow, this vinyasa. So for many of us, it has this nice, calming, quiet quality. It's very rhythmic, which feels so good in our bodies. I think we're very rhythmic creatures. I think this is why we love yoga, number one, and music and singing. Nature is rhythmic. This is why it's so lovely to be outside and connected with the outdoors. Good. A few more rounds like this. Good. Come back to center. And then let's just start to rock around in that pelvic girdle. So you could do this seated, Kelly, or you can kind of add it to your cat-cow. And this one is nice. You can kind of dip the shoulders in if that feels good. You can let the neck release. So you kind of you explore This beautiful fluid movement. Start to switch directions. Nice, Kelly. Good. And then start to make your way back up to center. So rooting into your sit bones, feeling the shoulders stack over your sit bones. And we're going to come into some just side to side twisting, nice and gentle to start out. And then we're going to move into some deeper twists today. So as you inhale, take your arms out wide. As you exhale, start to twist to the right any amount. Try to keep those shoulder blades stacking on top of each other. Inhale, come back to center. So we're just going to go side to side like this a couple of times. And if you can't hold up your arms the whole time, you could even just have hands on hips and twist in. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Good. Inhaling, coming back to center. I want you to do 2 more full rounds, just at your pace. It's like you're a slow moving washing machine agitator here. It's a delicate load. The shoulders might like to creep up around the ears, especially as we hold the arms out like this. This is really challenging to do. Nice work, Jim. So after you've done that left side, twisted to the left side the second time, come back to center. Good, and this time we come in for a longer hold. So as you exhale, twist. Stretch the arms out. Feel that widening across the backs of your shoulder blades. And then left hand to the outside of your right thigh. Grab a piece of chair. So what happens sometimes is that we start to bring shoulders up to the ears. We round in the upper back. We want to think cobra pose. We want to think back bend in the upper body. So shoulder heads pressed back instead. You can use the leverage of what you're holding on to find that. As you inhale, you breathe space between the discs in your vertebrae. You get a little taller. As you exhale and empty out, you can twist deeper into that space. And then maybe you start to bring your gaze out over your right shoulder. So that certainly brings a little more sensation into the neck, especially that left side. If it doesn't feel good, you just back out. And then stay in the twist, but start to bring your gaze out over your left shoulder or moving in that direction. So you get into the right side of the neck here, kind of clavicle area. Keep those shoulder heads pressing back. Good. So just bring your neck back to neutral. So you're just gazing forward. Deep inhale. Exhale, unwind. Couple of breaths here. And you're paying attention to your body. So we kind of stretched out this right side, got in pretty deep. Notice how it feels different than the left side. And then we inhale, take our arms out. Good. Exhale. Start to twist to the left. Spread the arms. Press shoulder heads back. Hold on to that as you bring right hand to outside of left thigh. And if that's not happening in your body, it could also be on the inside of your right thigh. Grab a piece of chair behind you. Press shoulder heads back. Feel your sternum lift. And then bringing some attention to your inhale, really trying to fill up here. It's a little trickier when we're all twisted in, when everything is constricted. But do your best. Of course, on the exhales, we empty out, so it makes twisting in a little more, a little easier. Maybe you're starting to bring your gaze out over that left shoulder. Again, just being really mindful, making sure that that doesn't introduce tension and stress into your neck that doesn't feel good. Returning to your breath if you've lost it, soaking up the stillness you're creating. And then we're going to play with bringing our gaze out towards our right shoulder. You might not get all the way there. You just pause where you're feeling a stretch. Keep squeezing shoulder blades in towards each other. Good, and then just start to bring your gaze kind of just back to neutral, so you're still in the twist. Deep inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Oh, take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. Close your eyes and just take a moment or two here. Check in. Notice how you're feeling differently. Little movement really goes a long way. And then blinking your eyes open. And I want to play with our twisted crescent pose. So for those of you that were here last week, we did explore this pose, and I want to potentially explore it in a couple of different ways. So you can just be here with both knees bent if this feels like a really safe, stable place for you to be. If it feels okay in your body to extend your left leg to straight, and it's okay if it falls out a little bit, you're welcome to play with that as well. What I do want you to make sure of to check is that knees are landing over your ankles, maybe even ankle slightly ahead, especially if you're doing the one-legged version of this. And I'm gonna just, I'm gonna show you what this pose looks like, kind of the classic version here, just so you know what we're playing with. And we're going to be working the upper body a lot, but twists are great because they do kind of get down into the trunk, the hip flexors, so as they start to stretch all of that. So crescent pose, standing pose, hips neutral. So I have a deep bend in this right knee. It's hard to tell with that cabinet back there. I'm on my back toes. Arms are up. So this is our crescent pose, and we're going to turn that into a twist. So hands pressed together at heart center is how this pose usually looks. And then you start to spin towards that bent knee, and then you're hinging forward at the hip. So you just might stay here like this. That might be all the further you go. Perhaps you hook that left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, and then you just get that leverage to spin open. So that's what the pose looks like. I would like to play with a different version first before we come into that. And if you don't have props, you might not be able to do this. But Kelly, especially for you, we had talked about doing this. So rather than pressing palms together, which is nice because it turns these outer arms on, I want to approach this pose by using a strap if you have one. So the strap's going to be about shoulders distance apart. And then it's just going to go above the elbows. And Kelly, I believe last week when we did this, so you can see, I think having one leg propped up. So the leg, the direction that you're twisted to, you could either have it on a blanket or two or a block. You can play with that. And let's see, I'm going to see who has straps here or not. If you don't have a strap, raise your hand. Okay. All right. So Amy, for you, you can go ahead and press palms together, and then that might not happen through the full pose, but you're going to be getting that same work. And the strap essentially is giving us that action in our upper body. So you're squeezing out into the strap. You can really plug the arm bones into the shoulder sockets. Feel the shoulder blades release down. All right. And then so you have potentially that left leg straight or both legs straight. Okay. So take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, keep pressing out into the strap. Just start to twist to the right. Nice, guys. So this is a lot of work, just doing this. If you feel like you are safe doing this and you have a little more movement in your body, maybe you hinge forward slightly. And then you're really trying to spin those left ribs up towards the ceiling. You're pressing into the, pressing out into the strap. Good. Full deep inhale. As you exhale, you come back to center. That's actually really hard. So you give yourself a little break. If you have that left leg extended, you bring it back to straight. And we're just going to kind of go side to side here. So we're going to start it this way, and then we'll try the other versions. So both knees could be bent. That's absolutely fine. If you can extend that right leg forward and you feel stable and steady there, you can take that variation. And then go ahead and start to press out into the strap. Feel that widening across the backs of your shoulders, that lift of your sternum. And this is not easy, what I'm asking you to do. This is engaging the upper body a lot. Hold on to all of that. Deep inhale. Exhale, simply twist, keeping your body upright. So this might be right where you stay. Nice, Jim. Maybe you start to hinge forward a little bit. So you kind of like at 45 degrees, moving in that direction. Keep wrapping those right ribs to the left. Keep breathing. So we often hold the breath when things get really challenging. Deep inhale. Good. Come back to center. That was hard. So release. So Kelly, you can stick with that a second time, and you might find that you can twist in a little deeper. And then the rest of us are going to play with our palms together at our heart version. So extending left leg if you wanted to, or you can have both knees bent, root into your sit bones. And then bring palms to heart center. And then I want you to press into your palms so much, if that's accessible to you, that you feel these outer arms turn on. So it's very similar to that feeling that we get when we're pressing our upper outer arms into that strap. Okay. So this time, let's go ahead and hinge forward at the waist first, slightly, and then start to twist as you exhale. Nice, Amy. And then if you're in far enough that you can bring that left elbow to the outside of your right thigh, you might do that. And that gives you a little more leverage to wrap those left ribs up towards the ceiling. You might start to bring your gaze up. Kelly, that looks great. All of you, these look really nice. Hard pose, twisted crescent. Good job, Jim. Deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind, come back to center. Oh, deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Just take a moment or two here, and we're going to go to the second side. So extending, bending the left knee in, which was extended potentially, extending that right leg if you would like to. And then you can use your strap or you can press palms together. If you're doing that, press so much or as much as you can. Feel those outer arms start to turn on. Feel this openness across your heart and chest. As we exhale, we hinge forward first this time. Doesn't have to be very deep at all. And if this doesn't feel safe to do, you just keep sitting upright. Deep inhale. Exhale, twist. And it's a little easier here with palms pressing together to hook against that opposite leg. So if you're able to do that, to take that right elbow to the outside, please do so. Keep pressing palms towards heart center. Notice how that helps to spin you up towards the ceiling. You wrap those right ribs up. You can play with the gaze. And you're trying to bring a little emphasis to that inhale. Couple more breaths. These twists so good for giving everything a little ring out, all of the organs. These twists are really unique to yoga. Good, deep inhale. Exhale. Come back to center. And then you can just bring that right leg back in. So check in, notice how you feel. So not an easy pose. Those all looked really beautiful. And I think to just cleanse the palate a little bit after that, it's going to feel really nice to just do some of our half sun salutes here. So we'll break down this first one. We'll kind of hold each pose, and then we'll do a few just moving with the breath. In gym, in these sun salutes, this is where you can make sure that you have your chair in front of you, so you don't have to fold all the way in. For the rest of us, if you do have blocks and you enjoy using them, or books, just to give yourself a little height when we come into our half forward fold. Okay, so feeling nice and open, sitting nice and tall. As we inhale, we stretch our arms out and up, and this especially should feel good because we just worked the arms quite a bit with that strap and that variation of our twisted crescent. From here, we're going to start to make our way in to our Uttanasana. You can swan dive in. You can just roll your hands down your thighs. Take a couple breaths here. Back of the neck lengthening. And we should be feeling that pretty good because we've done a lot of that. On your next inhale, fingertips could be on the floor. You could press into your blocks. If you don't have blocks, hands on thighs is really nice. The elbows love to wing out, and then we start to dump forward into our shoulders. We want the back bend in this pose. So squeeze shoulders in. So think your cobra pose. Really beautiful. As you exhale, you slowly unwind back into your full forward fold. And then as you inhale, you come back to your extended mountain pose. You can reverse swan dive up. You can roll on up. So whatever feels good. Maybe bring your gaze up. So that lift of your sternum up towards the sky, little back bend. And then as we exhale, hands can come directly down heart center. You can take them out wide so we can kind of mix and match these. Again, what feels good in your body? What do you need today? So we're going to start to connect all of that, and we're all really good at these. So first couple, if your pace isn't matching me, just move with your breath. You know these. Okay, so let's release our arms by our side. Stretching up, feel really spacious and feel really gracious and graceful. As you exhale, you fold in. If it feels uncomfortable to reach your arms out wide, come down the center. Sometimes that's better for some of us in our shoulders. Inhale, gaze comes forward. You find that length through the sides of your waist. Exhale, you fold back in. Inhale, rooting down to rise up. Maybe gazing up, pressing palms. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhaling, reaching. Exhale, fold in, and you're just enjoying this lightness that you're feeling, this space. Inhale, you lengthen forward. Good, exhale, fold back in. Press down to rise on up to that extended mountain pose. How tall can you get? And then exhale, hands come to heart center. You have two more. You're just going to move with your breath at your pace. You're going to soak up the sound of your breath as you connect it with the movement. Smiling is perfectly acceptable here. In fact, it's kind of hard not to. These sun salutes, this movement is such a joy. And you're pausing at the conclusion of your second round. There's no rush to get there. You're noticing how you feel. And then blinking, eyes open, just releasing your hands down. So before we move towards our Shavasana, I would love to just get into the hips a little bit here. So we're going to come into our seated pigeon pose. So we're going to take our right ankle above our left knee, and then you can just take your right hand into that right thigh, gently press down. So Jim, for you, this might be a little intense. So you have your chair there. You might be able to open up that leg on the chair, so you can play with that. And if that's not happening, Jim, you can simply open your right leg out to the side. And for Kelly, you're probably moving in a direction that feels good. If you wanted to come into wide-legged pose, so Upavista, and then fold in, you could do that. Sandbags on thighs might be nice. And then I want you to think outer hips really squeezing in if you do a forward fold. And if you're going somewhere else, just go where you're going. All right. We haven't done any warrior poses today, so this might feel a little more intense than it usually does. And of course, hips, again, all of these big muscles attach in this lower trunk area. So it's not uncommon that you get a lot of sensation. At this stage of the game, you might start to let go of your Ujjayi breath. So just kind of returning to that more normal inhale and exhale through your nose. You can kind of start to stretch it out. Good work, everyone. So most of us are probably feeling pretty good here. We're getting enough stretch. For those who are a little more flexible in the hips and the pelvic girdle, you might start to lean forward a little bit. And if it is available to you to flex that right ankle, you could do that. If not, you might even just kind of give it a little support with your left forearm, and that might intensify things too. You could be resting your hands on blocks. You might have fingertips on the floor. Couple more good breaths. Send the exhale to that outer right hip. Just visualize it, creating some space and ease. There's Amy Hillman. Hi. And then, so if you took the forward fold, you slowly start to make your way out. And just because we can, let's fly our pigeon here. So stretch your arms out and up. Start to bring your gaze up. So this is even almost a little bit like a tree pose. As you exhale, release down. Very nice. And then you make your way into the second side. So again, options. If it is available to you to cross that left ankle over your right knee, you can do so. And then you can take your left hand into that thigh press down. You can also just give a little feedback to that left foot with your right hand as well. If that's not happening and you do have a chair, you might be able to open up that left hip by resting the foot on the chair, which might feel a little more stable and easy. Finally, you might just be opening up the hip in a more seated kind of standing variation. So they're all stretching the same things. So, and this side too, I should mention, it could look different than the other side. So that sometimes happens. One side usually feels a little tighter. That's pretty normal as well. So for a lot of us just sitting here upright, pretty intense stretch. If that's you, you stay where you're at. If you feel like you have a little more space, you start to fold in any amount and you're being safe, you're moving slow. You're pausing when you feel sensation, breathing into that. Maybe then you can move in a little further. Maybe the choice for you is to move out. And that's always, we usually don't want to move in that direction. We usually don't want to do less. Sometimes it's the best thing we can do. It's the smartest thing we can do in our bodies. So I'm giving you permission to do less. Breath is smooth and steady. As you inhale, you roll on up. Next inhale, take arms up overhead. Maybe start to bring your gaze up. Channel all of the energy of the beautiful autumn trees happening outside right now. Good. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. And we are going to make our way into a final resting pose. So you all know what feels best for you. You're welcome to come to classic Shavasana on the floor if it's easy for you to get there. Jim, I know that you have your chair. It might feel really good for you to just come into a little modified child pose. And actually for anybody that's close to a desk or has something that they could just rest like this, that feels a little more calming. And of course, it might just feel really nice to sit in quiet meditation here. And let's all take a final deep inhale together. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then we've been in this place of stillness and this inward looking. So just see if you can turn up the volume on that so you go there more. You resist the urge these final moments to worry about the to-do list, to plan for the rest of the day ahead. Instead, you are allowing all of this beautiful hard work that you've done to melt into your body, to assimilate. It's coming into peaceful, restful, quiet Shavasana. Asato ma sat gamaya. Tamaso ma joy gamaya. Mrityoma mritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take a deeper inhale. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Let it go. Ha. Start to bring some gentle movement back to your body. So wiggle, yawn, stretch, anything that feels good. Place your palms in a pile on top of your heart. And then just take a moment to check in here. So notice what's shifted for you in this past hour. Notice how good you feel. Observe the space in your body, the strength. How has your breath shifted and changed? It's a little deeper, a little steadier, a little richer. And then check in with that headspace. Notice how that feels different. So there's a sense of quiet and calm and focus and probably even joy. Just promise yourself that you're going to carry some of this feeling with you into the rest of the day. And then I just want to leave you with, this whole poem is so beautiful, but I really love the stanza, when there is nothing left to do but live, simply show up. That has always been enough. So it's not much, it's not easy, but it's definitely enough. So just make the commitment to show up for yourself, for your friends, for your loved ones this week. Beautiful work today, yogis. Thank you. Namaste.